It's time for Windows Weekly, episode 161. Today, we take a look at Microsoft's new Kinect. All the gestures you'd ever want with Paul Thurrott. Next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for Windows Weekly is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott, episode 161, recorded June 17th, 2010. Paul's Perihelion. Windows Weekly is brought to you by Ford and voice-activated sync, featuring true hands-free calling, turn-by-turn directions, 911 assist, and more. Available exclusively on Ford, Lincoln, and Mercury vehicles. For more details, visit syncmyridepodcast.com. And by Go to Assist Express. Providing tech support to clients and colleagues in person is expensive and time-consuming. Support smarter remotely with Go to Assist Express. For a free 30-day trial, visit gotoassist.com/Windows. And by Carbonite, the leader in online backup. Backup your PC or Mac off-site securely and automatically. For a free trial offer plus 2 free months with purchase, go to carbonite.com. Offer code WindowsWeekly. It's time for Windows Weekly, the show that covers the latest news from Microsoft, including Windows, Windows Server, Windows Remote Desktop, Windows...
Oh, God. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, then there's some stuff like Zune and Xbox we throw in there just to keep you awake. Mr. Paul Thurrott is here. He is the major domo at the SuperSite for Windows, winsupersite.com, the news editor at Windows IT Pro, and author extraordinaire of Windows 7 Secrets and the soon-to-emerge Windows Phone Secrets. Good day, Paul.
That's uncomfortably close to his name is Legion.
His name is Legion.
You know?
Paul Thurrott. Good day.
How you doing?
Hello, Paul. How are you?
How was E3, by the way?
E3 was a blast and a half.
Yeah?
And I, you know, I was prepared to hate Kinect.
Yes.
Because I thought this is stupid. In fact, I think I said last year I felt bad for Veronica because, you know, remember she was on the stage at E3 dancing around. I thought she was hornswoggled. She looked dorky.
I think that the big difference the year has made is that now people can actually touch it and use it, and it's finally there. You know, when they announced this thing, it was a pipe dream, you know? Like maybe someday we'll have this thing.
I dug it. Yeah. I enjoyed it.
I think, you know, it's funny. My wife actually works out with the Wii. She uses not the Nintendo stuff.
She'll prefer this.
The EA, yeah, that's what I was telling her. In fact, I made one of those rare things where I said, you might want to actually watch this video, you know, from a sort of a work-related, you know, here's a video from E3 of someone using one of these programs. Right. And I think it's an interesting comparison. You know, someone wrote me and said, you know, the real innovation here is that you don't have anything to hold, you know. And that's true, and I think it's true for a wide range of things. But on the flip side, you know, with the Nintendo, there are instances where, for example, you're holding a wheel to drive a car, and it's actually a little more natural than not holding a wheel.
True.
You know, that there's a little bit more.
And Microsoft was a great pains to say, no, 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 you will not be holding anything.
Yeah, I think over time, in fact, you will be holding props. You know,
that's what I thought. I thought that's
that
just
our
a
dens
natural.
Will resemble that box that Carrot Talk, you know, drags around to his shows.
Right.
No, but I think there's a wider range of scenarios where you don't need to hold anything. You know, in that case, actually, the Kinect makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Well, Mike, so you think is Microsoft misunderstanding the market, or are they? What's the deal when they say no control?
I think what they've done is taken what Nintendo did and they've evolved it to something better.
That's what I think.
I think what Sony is doing is taking what Nintendo did,
copying it.
Period. Yeah. You know,
copying it directly.
So I think the Microsoft approach is superior. I also think, as we'll discuss in just a moment, that there are more far-reaching ramifications of this Kinect that go well beyond video games that I think are very important. So I think there's something cool happening there.
It's, you know, I think this is the kind of thing that only a company with a fairly big R&D budget could even attempt.
Yeah, like an oil tanker kind of company.
Yeah, I get the sense that it really is a pretty sophisticated camera technology in there.
You know what the Kinect thing really teaches us, though, and unfortunately this is kind of a negative for Microsoft. They have a habit, and there are rare exceptions to this, but they have a habit of announcing things. Getting you really excited, about what's coming, but not providing it to you for months.
Right. Well, in this case, over a year.
Yes. So, but even now, this summer, so E3 happens. Here's the final name. They haven't announced the pricing because I think they wanted to see where Sony was. And we'll see you in November, if you're lucky, depending on where you live. Jeez. It's hard, and this goes back years and years. One of the great examples I used was the CES. It would have been CES 2002 off the top of my head, where they introduced what became Windows XP Media Center.
Right.
And the crack I made to the guy at the time was, thank you for making what I'm using now suck.
But not providing a replacement.
But right. So when can I get my hand on this?
Right.
We don't know.
Yeah.
And we have no idea how we're even going to deliver it. It was aggravating. And
why do they do that? Apple's very careful about that.
Yeah.
Apple, keeps people hate Apple's secrecy, but that's the point of it.
Yes.
You don't want to kill the market until you got something to replace it.
Yeah. I don't know. It is an important difference between those two companies.
And it's part of Microsoft's corporate culture. I mean, they do it again and again.
I can't stop doing it. It's too bad.
I can't stop myself. I try. I can't stop myself.
We want to please people so badly, But
do you think it's preemptive that the idea is to preempt competition?
No. In fact, in many cases, it's a response to other things. By the time they announced Project Natal at the time last summer, right? I mean, they were already 2.5 years or whatever it was behind the Wii.
Right.
I mean, how slow to market can you be? But it's so typically Microsoft. Microsoft doesn't introduce something that just mimics what the Wii has.
Right.
Although actually they kind of did do that as well.
There is a little bit of copycatting for both.
Well, no,
Sony
they've had. In other words, they didn't come up with a motion controller, but they did come out with some stuff for the Xbox 360 around the notion of casual gaming.
Right.
Hey guys, I hear casual gaming is fun with the kids. Why don't we put something out on the Xbox 360?
Well, the downloads are actually pretty good. I mean, I think that's what a lot of people use the Xbox for.
Yeah. No, but the point being that Microsoft always looks at a problem and they solve it as thoroughly as possible. They create APIs and they create platforms, and these things take years and years. And by the time they've responded, here we are. The Xbox 360 debuted at the end of 2005. The Nintendo Wii came out at the end of 2006. 4 years later, they finally have something to compete with the Wii. And the Wii's already kind of on the way down. From a sales perspective, it's kind of peaked and it's slowly sliding off the other end of the curve. I mean, these are the types of things that frustrate me because I, for obvious reasons. I mean, it's too bad. Like, they always respond in epic fashion slowly.
Well,
Apple is about quick iterations.
I think you said a very key word from Microsoft's point of view, and it comes from their heritage: platform. They're a platform company. They're not a product company per se. They're a platform company. Windows is a platform. Server's a platform, not a product per se.
I was talking to a friend of mine the other night who's an Apple guy and an Apple developer, and he was saying one of the downsides of, imagine being at Apple, right? You're in charge of some product, whatever, it doesn't matter what it is. And 1 year, it is the biggest thing in the world. It's what Steve Jobs focuses on for that beautiful, shining 15 seconds of fame. iTunes, iMovie, whatever.
A good example is Apple TV.
Okay, Apple TV. It doesn't matter.
For one brief shining moment and then ignored.
Yeah. Well, but it doesn't matter what it was, because that actually happens to their high-profile products too. Because what happens is you could see it through all the way, and Microsoft would do that. It would take them years.
Right.
But eventually, whatever the product is, they would make it perfect. Right. But by the time they did it, the market had moved on. What Apple will do is they'll nail that 80%, the exciting 80%, the part that's good demo, the part where they can create a beautiful website describing the product with beautiful pictures of beautiful people enjoying the beautiful product. And you, as the creator of this product or someone who works in a team, is in the sun for that little moment. But then they move on to the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. And your product, which, the people who still use it maybe would benefit or enjoy the fact that it might be updated, never will realize that because Apple has moved on. Their attention is elsewhere.
That's true of Apple TV, but it's not true of the iPod and the, well, I mean, they never update any individual iPod, but they always have new models. And the iPhone, same thing. I mean, don't they update, haven't they perfected the iPhone?
But it is actually, just off the top of my head, it is sort of true of the iPod when you think about it, because, there are these small updates or non-updates they've done to the traditional click wheel iPods and stuff. But, the real excitement in that stuff, of course, is the iOS stuff.
It's true. The Touch now outsells the other iPods easily.
Probably combined, it's the way of things, right? Yeah. Apple is very aggressive, and depending on your perspective, that's good or bad. I mean, obviously, it's been very good for their stock price, for the influence they have in the industry and the excitement factor and all that stuff. Microsoft is slow and plodding, and they're completists. They're gonna
completists. I like that.
They're gonna do it. Damn it, we're gonna get this right. I mean, even think about little things like the Zune on the Xbox. How hard would it be to integrate your Zune stuff into the Xbox 360? Well, this is how hard it is for Microsoft. Last year, they put videos on there. This year, they're going to put music on there. I mean, are you serious? Right. You're going to add one media type every year?
Next year, photos.
We will have moved on to the Xbox 720 or whatever. And look, we fixed it. I mean, 4 years later. It's crazy how slow this stuff is. It's aggravating.
Given the amount of resources and the number of engineers and the amount of money, you'd think that they'd be a little faster, but...
but I think that's actually what gets in the way. They have too much. It's not the engineers, and it's not, we've said this a lot.
Too many middle managers.
Yeah, too many layers of bureaucracy. Lots of people that really care over there, and they're really smart and really want to change the world, and they get bogged down by the massive nature of this vessel that they're part of.
The deets. So you ordered, and actually, I'm going to wait until you get the new Xbox 360. What do you think of that?
I think that's a smart plan. I think it's going to be good. I mean, the only question is going to be, you can't say something like whisper quiet and have it not be whisper quiet. So I sort of...
It's got to be at least quieter.
I'm thinking it's... I mean, the PS3 is quiet.
Depends on the whisper. If it sounds like this, it's not that quiet.
Yeah, so hopefully it doesn't sound like that.
I hope so.
But,
but that's a whisper.
Had half a lung removed or something. Yeah, that is a whisper. If it's as quiet as the PS3 or quieter, I mean, fantastic. I would say that the Nintendo Wii is very, very quiet. I have sensitive hearing, so sometimes my wife will actually leave that on, and I'll hear it humming. You know, if it's right in that level, I think that's fine. Awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
that's fine. I mean, my TV makes an audible noise. I mean, most electronics make some sound.
Yes, and that's an interesting thing about these flat panel displays we all now have in our dens is that they have fans built into the back, and those things throw off heat.
Oh yeah,
if you're
plasmas especially, plasmas are really
yeah, and that's what we have. So there are these big fans in the back, and so if it fits within that sort of world, I mean, I think that's good. The longer term thing, and the thing we won't be able to answer until down the road, is whether it answers the reliability issues, and.
So I'm going to wait until you don't get a red ring of death, and then I'll buy one.
Yeah. I mean, as I've explained so many times, right now, all but one of the Xbox 360s I've had through my home has red ringed.
Yeah.
And that includes now one that was bought in the last year. So I have to send it off to be repaired.
That's bad.
My son and I have been swapping out the Xbox. I haven't been playing, so it's been pretty much him moving between my office and out in the den, but his Xbox, again, it's about a year old, has already red ringed. So this is concerning, and now that they've moved this thing to a smaller enclosure, and, we'll see. I have my hopes, around that, but, there's no way to know. A year from now, if this thing hasn't red ringed and it's been, consistently quiet, fantastic.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, and it's pretty. Do you know if that, it looked like it had a drawer.
Drawer.
It's not
I think that's for the hard drive. I mean, in the front.
Yeah,
I believe that's for the hard drive.
So it might be slot loadings or for the DVD. For the DVD. DVD.
Oh, you mean for the optical drive?
Optical drive.
I have not seen it with that out yet. I mean, that's one of those things I'm kind of eager to look at.
I think it looks like a drawer.
Looks like a drawer. I mean, I would bet Microsoft, being cheap and whatnot, is probably using a drawer, but I don't know.
Somebody said that they still got the, what do they call it? The scratch of death?
No, yeah.
They moved it with a DVD in there. It went.
That's to achieve complete compatibility.
Good, because my permanently and totally disabled copy of Modern Warcraft 2 will not play in there as well as the original Xbox.
So
Is that
I
what you're
told you
saying?
my tip for making that work, right?
What's that?
Get another copy of it, rent it or have a friend borrow it for the day, and then install it to the hard drive.
Oh, yeah.
And then your scratch
That's what I need to do.
That works.
What was I thinking?
In fact, we do that for different games.
Good, yeah, because I saved it because I thought someday it might be good.
Yeah, as long as you install that to the hard drive, the scratch version won't prevent you from playing it.
Sure, of course. I said Modern Warcraft. I meant Modern Warfare.
I knew what you meant.
World of Modern Warcraft 2. I'm really excited. It's an MMORPG, RPS, FPS.
There's a Balrog in the woodpile.
Red leader. All right, so we're going to take a break. There is I think you have a surprising insight.
I do? Oh, I do.
You do?
I shouldn't act surprised when you say stuff like that.
Yes, I do. Yes, Leo.
I do.
And that's coming up.
As you know, I often do.
A surprising insight, I think. I'm excited, actually, about what your thoughts are of the future of Kinect. Okay. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit, but I do want to mention our good friends at Ford, the folks who do the fantastical Ford Sync. They were instrumental in getting us to E3, and we thank them so much for their support. And we are getting those E3 specials up on the feed. We did, we had one of the things that people were so excited about. We had, thanks to Brian Brushwood, Valve gave us a preview of Portal 2, and we got some video of that.
Looks nice.
Yeah. Oh, over 250,000 views. I know.
Yeah.
I know. Another.
Very realistic.
Oh, it's going to be fun. There's so many. Yeah. That was the fun thing about E3. It's just all these. It made me want a game again. Made me want to get out the old joystick, the Star Raiders, maybe a little Battle Zone.
Star Raiders. God, you're so old.
Little Dig Dug.
Here's one for the local boys. I used to walk over to Leechmere's in Dedham and play Star Raiders on an Atari 400.
Awesome.
Because I didn't have an Atari.
Oh, you could have come over to my place next time. Okay. There is not, to my knowledge, there is no secret Star Raiders mode in the Ford Sync, but boy, it does pretty much anything else. You do feel like you're flying your starship. And and I think Han Solo knows this, and any space jockey, you got to keep your eyes on the road and your hands on the tiller if you're going to be effective. It's dangerous to suddenly, look, imagine Han Solo, he's leaping to light speed and a text message comes in and he looks down at his phone and he says, oh, Princess Leia's calling, and tries to dial the number, and all of a sudden they land in the middle of Tatooine. You can't, this isn't going to work. You got to keep your hands on the wheel, your eyes on the road. It's just too dangerous. That's why Ford has put this great sync technology in their Ford, Lincoln, and Mercury vehicles. Amazing, true hands-free calling, even on the Android phone, which is not notorious for hands-free calling. What happens is when you pair up your Android phone to your sync, it downloads the phone book, and now you can press the button on the steering wheel, call Paul Thurrott at home, and it does it. It's incredible. It also, which is the only thing I know that can do that on an Android phone. It also, of course, has turn-by-turn directions, 911 assist, vehicle health reports. You can get traffic conditions. It'll even reroute you if the traffic is bad on your normal route. I just love the Ford Sync. I realized how hooked I am on it when I drove a rental car in Los Angeles, and I was like, huh? Where I pushed the button on the steering wheel, the horn beeped. It wasn't the same. Try it at your Ford, Lincoln, or Mercury dealers, and for more details, you visit the website syncmyridepodcast.com. And do check out the E3 coverage brought to you by Ford Sync at twit.tv/specials. Eric is working on all of those right now, and they will go up over the next couple of days. A lot of editing, but I think we got the Kinect demo up. Nice. Thanks to Becky Worley for arranging that. That was so much fun. I did the river rafting one, and you jump. It recognizes you when you come into the frame. It says, "Oh, there's Leo." It adds your avatar. If you're playing, it'll make it a two-person game. If Paul stays there, and It takes pictures of you while you're doing stuff, which is hysterical.
Yeah. No, we'll see. You know, one of the things about the Wii that I think has been less than positive is that, you know, people get when they're excited about it for 10
I lost
minutes.
interest.
Yeah, they have that one party where everyone comes over and does Wii bowling or whatever. And then that's kind of the end of that, you know. And even with my kids, you know, they've gone through these little phases where, you know, Mario Kart is a big deal for a couple of months or something, and then that's the end of that. So we'll see. You know, my wife, it's funny. I mean, who doesn't care about technology or video games or any of that stuff is actually, and well, I think by the time this is all said and done, we'll have used the Wii more than anybody.
She uses it for exercise, but the exercise titles on Kinect are better. They're really good.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I pointed out to her when I showed her some of the videos of those games, I paused it at one moment. I think it was two young girls and their parents or something, and I said, you know, this is not exactly the traditional target market for the Xbox 360, by the way.
Well, that's the point.
It's like letting my pretty princess into Modern Warfare 2 or whatever.
That's the point, isn't it, though?
Yeah, because that's a much bigger audience, you know. So I think if they can hit both sides of that, you know, that would be something Nintendo's not doing right now, certainly. Although Nintendo's hitting the broader single audience, certainly.
Right.
So, yeah, I think that's exciting. Speaking of getting excited about gaming again, you know, when I flew home from New Orleans, I was really amused to see the guy next to me spent the entire flight listening to music on his iPhone while playing some racing game. And he literally got on the plane with nothing but his iPhone and a pair of headphones.
Wow.
And it was a guy my age. I mean, he was in his 40s. And I was just so impressed by this. I checked out a bunch of racing games on the iPhone later, you know, this past week. I mean,
it kept him entertained.
Yeah. But then you see the stuff on the 360 at E3, and you look at things like Gears of War 3 that's coming next year, or the Halo Reach stuff, or obviously the next Call of Duty. I mean, these are all games that are very traditional, you know, controller-based games. I mean, even beyond the Kinect stuff, I think there's such interesting stuff coming. And then there's these games, you know, I never played anything but the very beginning of, say, Assassin's Creed 2, which I would really like to finish.
It's a great game.
Assassin's Creed 3 is coming.
I know.
In November, and I don't know. I'm never going to have time to do this. I mean, I'm so
Who has time to
busy.
game?
I just don't have time, you know. So
I think once you reach 10th prestige in any game,
I know I got burned.
It should speak for all games.
Yeah, perhaps my time could have been better. No. Anyway,
what do I spend my time on? Harvesting magic cauliflower. At least you killed some Nazis or something. Or
I'll tell you, if you think you're good at Modern Warfare 2, I will throw out this stat. I don't know if I've ever said this on the podcast or not. My son is godlike in his powers in this game.
How old is he?
He's 12.
Wow.
To this point. So if you set it up to do this, you can get a nuclear weapon on a 25 kill streak, right? Wow. So you get 25 kills in a row.
Yeah.
You have to have previously configured it, and which is pretty impressive on its own right. You have 3 streak type perks you can get. I mean, so to actually go in and say one of them's going to be 25 kills in a row, like, I mean, it's not many people would even do that.
And this is against other people. This isn't against the
it's against everyone. It ends the game. Yeah, right. Oh, yeah. This is online against human beings.
Yeah.
So when you launch a nuclear attack during an online game, obviously the game's over. So my son has that. So,
but who wins? Because as we know from war games,
nobody wins. As we know,
nobody wins in global thermonuclear war. There is no winner.
But there are challenges based around getting nuclear bombs and so forth in the game. Anyway, I have never actually gotten a nuclear bomb. I've had over 25 kills in a row, but I've never set it up for that particular.
Well, you have to say ahead of time. I'm going to.
Yeah, I mean, I would never think. I mean, I would never think to do that. Anyway,
it's like 8 ball in the corner pocket. You have to do it.
Yes. My son has gotten 2 nuclear bombs in a single game. Now, people listening to this are saying that that's impossible. You can only have 1 nuclear bomb because when you get a nuke, and it ends the game. But actually, the way you can get, he doesn't use it. Yeah, so he actually, set it up for the nuke.
The nuclear deterrent is most effective when not used.
Yeah. So actually, the reason he did this, and this just gives you a little bit of the mindset here, he wanted to see what would happen if he had 2 nukes. And for those of you who are curious, when you try to deploy the second nuke, it says, sorry, only 1 nuclear bomb can be deployed at a time.
You can only win once. Is that what they're saying?
Yeah.
I hate that.
Yep.
You should be able to win twice in one sitting.
I agree.
What did he get? So it means he got 50 kills in a row?
Yeah. Well, no, actually, no. because you would have had to have died for that kill streak to start up again,
So
right?
how do you get 2 nuclear bombs?
You get 25 in a row, get the bomb, get killed, probably in his case on purpose, and then get 25 kills in a row to get it again.
Oh man, what's his gamer handle? Because I want to stay well away from him.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Jeez Louise. But that's why I don't play these games online, because there's a million 12-year-olds who do nothing but play this game 17 hours a day.
The way they have to get there, that you need the chopper gunner and this other thing, because these will give you maximum kills.
I can't win.
It's insane.
And then they teabag me, and I hate that.
My son doesn't understand what that is.
Good, and we won't tell him.
Yeah, and I forget what he called it. He said,
"What's this guy doing?"
Yeah, he thought it was something else, and I thought I wasn't going to correct him.
What the heck is this guy? This guy must be the night vision goggles. That's what he's going for. He's trying to take my night vision goggles.
Anyway, I'm excited about the 360 stuff.
I am too. Now, is it me, or is there anything to the fact that it's KIN in Kinect? Do you think that's a coinkydink?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, okay.
I think it just sounds like Kinect.
It's nothing to do with the Kin phone?
I don't think so.
Oh, come on.
I look at the Kin phone as a temporary holding pattern kind of thing.
Until Windows Mobile Phone 7 comes out.
And for them to have something, when you look at the cell phone market, not the smartphone market, but the cell phone market, there are many, many more feature phones, than there are traditional smartphones. That's a temporary condition too, right? So this is a cheap way for them to get into that market temporarily, take advantage of that, and then eventually Windows Phone will just run the gamut, and we'll all have moved to smartphones, or most of us will.
So if you're buying a Kin, you're only really buying it for 6 months.
Well, it's just like childhood, it comes and goes. So the target audience for this
was over before we knew it.
It's going to grow out of it anyway. That is sort of a way to look at it.
Already, I'm sending my smartphone to college.
Exactly.
Look how fast it happened.
You're getting an apps upgrade after 4 years.
Exactly.
That's my standard Microsoft time schedule.
Exactly. So now the Kin Dashboard, though, the Kinect Dashboard, is what's the story with that? Is that a new UI?
Yeah, it's going to be a separate UI. They'll have the traditional dashboard they have today, but they'll also have this kind of panel-based dashboard that some people have said resembles Windows Phone. It's actually a bit of a stretch, right? The idea being that these panels are square, so it's just like Windows Phone, because Windows Phone is square, and it's not exactly. Yeah. They're not bumping up against each other. They're not dynamic. It's not live tiles or anything like that. But that doesn't matter. The point is, from your couch, just sitting there, you can do that Minority Report thing where you swipe your hands in the air and stuff happens on the screen. And it's going to be a way to navigate between the different experiences.
They were excited to show that off. They thought that was really cool.
And in typical Microsoft fashion, we'll not be delivering that right away. That's something for next year.
Someday you'll get that.
Yeah.
Someday you and Tom Cruise.
Yep.
So you say something highly provocative in your notes.
Yes.
You say Kinect will be to Windows 8 as multi-touch was to Windows 7. You think they're going to put Kinect on the desktop, on PCs?
I know they are. I know they are.
Your informants tell you so?
I think that what I'm saying is that the Kinect, the natural user interface, is going to be. And what I mean by this is, when you look at how multi-touch works, and this is multi-touch plus the tablet and all that stuff.
Right.
Microsoft has over time added different ways of interacting with the computer, and added them to Windows as core parts of the system. In other words, multi-touch isn't something that works in a couple of apps. It's the system. If you have a multi-touch compatible PC,
right,
it works everywhere. It's just, obviously you can write stuff to it so that it's more elegant, but if you want to touch and launch applications and do things like that, all you need is the screen. It's an integral part of the system. So as far as the operating system is concerned, handwriting recognition through the tablet PC stuff, multi-touch, mouse, keyboard, these are all the same thing. They're just different ways to interact with the system. And what I'm saying is that in Windows 8 in Windows 8, I believe that and based on what I've seen, based on people I've talked to, that these natural user interfaces that are part of Kinect is going to be part of Windows 8. So they'll do something in Windows 7 because it's the system on the market as an add-on.
Right.
But in Windows 8, it's going to be just part of the system.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? And talking of Minority Report, I mean that's kind of where that comes into play.
Well, I've been thinking, that it's been a while since we've really updated the UI.
Yeah,
it's kind of interesting. It was '84 that Apple came out with a mouse and a windowing operating system, and Microsoft followed suit shortly thereafter. Hardware couldn't quite keep up with the GUIs, so GUIs initially were sluggish, slow, underpowered. But over the 20 years since, the hardware's gotten much, much, much faster. Mm-hmm. So we now have hardware that can completely keep up with a GUI. It's the GUIs are reliable and so forth. What's the next? Is the GUI the end of the line? Is this keyboard that was designed in the 19th century, is that the end of the line? Can we do better? And for a while I thought voice, but then I realized you don't want to sit in an office where everybody's talking to their computer. So what is the next UI? And if you think about it, gestures and head movement, maybe.
I remember saying this to you on a podcast probably years ago.
Oh, well, that's why I forgot it.
No, something else. Around touch, that as cool as the multi-touch stuff is, when I look at my own screen, the last thing I want to do is touch it. Right. I get my greasy fingers all over it. I mean, and
it's
I think
also too far away. Desktop doesn't sit at your lap.
Right. And anyone who uses an iPhone or any of these modern touch-based smartphones these things get all smudge-tastic and everything, and that's an issue. But when you start to think about a living room situation where maybe your wall becomes the screen, it doesn't make sense for you to walk up and interact with it by touching it, right? In that situation, it makes more sense to, wave your arms around or, however you want to do that. Right. These natural user interfaces.
Yeah, the sit-back interface should be a Kinect style interface.
Yeah. Now, I mean, obviously, in the interim, you have these solutions around remote controls and, with the Wii-type stuff with the wand, and you kind of wave it around. But, yeah, I mean, I think what's interesting is that none of this stuff is all or nothing. Microsoft isn't saying multi-touch is the future and everything goes multi-touch. Multi-touch is part of it. And that approach actually makes some sense, I think, for the long term, because when you look at, say, Windows today or Windows of the future, you can do things, assuming you have the hardware support in the systems, and no one's claiming that the tablet PC took off in any meaningful way. But if you do have a tablet PC-based system, or more important, a screen that has those capabilities, you can sit down in a very casual way, like you see in all those iPad apps. But one of the differences on the tablet PC is you can do handwriting. Mm-hmm. And it actually recognizes that and understands what it says. You can do voice control. And
so you have I like it. You're right. So you use as appropriate.
Right.
That makes perfect
sense. I think that's what it means. I think the very phrase natural user interface.
Right.
That's...
You don't think, though, it's confusing, though? Well, for instance, when you something like a pad where you use a touch interface, you give up mousing.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying. You don't have to. In the Windows world, you don't have to. You have a choice. When you have multi-touch on a screen, it's not like the mouse stops working. You can still use a mouse as well. Okay. There are also things that need to be overcome. When you think of just a touch or a multi-touch screen, if you're going to handwrite on a screen and you're holding it in your lap, when you press your palm down on that thing because you're going to write on it, it needs to understand not to register the palm as anything.
Right.
There are those issues. So you don't want a screen in your room to react every time you walk by or every time you say something. And
that's an interesting thing about Kinect. I guess it's smart enough to know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the same thing with voice recognition, isn't it? It can't respond to everything you say.
It's smart enough to know who you are, right?
Right.
In other words, two people who may or may not be similar in form. It can tell who's who.
Pretty amazing.
I mean, how far are we away from you walk by the screen and says, "Hey, Paul, it's like you put on a couple pounds there, big guy. Maybe you should." Dude, I mean, this is only
time for your workout, Mr. Thurrott.
Yes. Yeah, you say, I think I'd like to play Call of Duty 11. And he says, yeah, I don't think so. I think we're going to play the game where you just jump around a lot because you need to lose some weight.
As somebody who is endeavoring to not be a couch potato, I kind of liked the activity. It was still a fun game. In fact, in many ways, it was a more fun and engaging game because I'm jumping and I'm ducking. And it was great activity. I worked up a sweat in 10 minutes. It was really fun.
Depends on what it is. There's a part of me that almost appreciates the notion, like on the Wii, when they made Call of Duty 3, they actually used the nunchuck controller so that you could throw a grenade, right? It would actually throw a grenade in the game.
Right.
It was a little silly, but it was kind of interesting. If you had a Call of Duty style game where you were actually using a normal controller to do most of the actions, but you could optionally do something like throw a grenade.
That's the key, optionally.
Yeah. That is a level of interaction that maybe is interesting for that, even for that kind of game. On the other hand, if this kind of stuff takes off, you think it's annoying when people walk around talking into a Bluetooth headset, and you've seen the guys. There was a guy at the airport who's doing this. He's waving his hands around like a jerk, and he's walking in a circle, and he's talking to nobody, but he's on his cell phone. I mean, imagine a world of natural user interfaces where we're all doing this, but maybe interacting with a virtual screen that's 5 feet in front of us, that only we can see or something. I mean,
well, I've seen that in sci-fi, of course.
Yeah, so you can picture it in real life and how idiotic it will be, right?
Yeah, but if you had told me I would have a little blinking blue piece in my ear and be talking out loud as I walk down the street,
sure,
I might have said never. And like everybody, like a replicant, everybody does it now.
Yep.
So we get used to it, I guess. Hey, I wanted. Okay, enough about anything else about E3, or did you see any games that you thought I can't wait? Something like that. You're a gamer.
No, just the hardcore shooter type games. I mean,
Gears of War looks good. Did you see the new Gears of War? That looks awesome.
But next year, April.
I know. That's the only problem with E3 is it's all trailers because these games are not even close to done.
There's that Red Dead Redemption game that's out now.
That's a fun game. Do you like that?
I haven't even looked. I'd love to try it. I just don't have the time.
It's just basically, you understand, it's from Rockstar. It's Grand Theft Auto with tumbleweeds. It's not.
Right. I like the Western thing. So
I do
but
too.
That's the problem. A wide open game like that, you need to invest time in it.
Yes.
And one of the beauties of a shooter is that you get in, you kill, and you get out, and you're done.
Right.
You can go in and out if you have to, and it's.
That's a good point. Now, can you do that? So you could do that with Modern Warfare. You don't have to. Invest time. You can just go in.
Yeah, you can
kill
go.
a few people
I'll do one checkpoint, in the single player game, or I'll play one level online and then I'll get back to work or something.
Yeah, I need games like that. That's why casual gaming is popular.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I never thought of Modern Warfare 2 as casual gaming.
It's not necessarily a casual game, but
I guess for you it is.
Yes, yeah, it could be.
If you're like Paul Thurrott, it's a casual game.
Right.
He just casually wipes out.
I casually wipe out people.
Just casually.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about the new Office in just a second. We do have some news about that, but before I get there, I want to mention Go to Assist Express from those great folks at Citrix who do the wonderful Go to Meeting, Go to My PC, the Citrix Enterprise. I mean, they're the kings of remote in both the enterprise and the consumer space. They have a tool for support personnel you're just going to love if you're in IT or you support software. Maybe you're just the support team for your family and friends. Go to Assist Express is awesome. You'll reduce travel time. You'll reduce support time. You'll serve more clients faster, more effectively, and that way you increase your revenue, make yourself a support hero. The thing about Go to Assist is, unlike some of these other solutions, first of all, it's tuned for support. Second, your client doesn't have to have it installed ahead of time. You don't have to go through a lot of support getting Go to Assist working so you can support them. All you do is you send them a link. I was doing this with my mom. I was on Skype. I sent her a link. She clicks the link. 30 seconds later, I'm in the computer. I mean, it's that fast. She downloads a very small stub, and boom, I'm in. She can see what I'm doing. We can chat back and forth. I can show her something on my screen, too. Now, if I am a pro, you're going to like this. I could do up to 8 people at the same time. So you could start an install or a scan and move to the next one, move to the next one. You don't have to wait around. It allows you to drag and drop files from your computer to the remote computer. So if you've got a registry fix or a hot fix or a patch or something you want to bring over there, a scan, you just copy it over and run it from their computer. It gives you an assay on what software is running, including the operating system, security software. I can go on and on. It really is great. And so the best way to find out about it is just try it free. Free. You don't have to, no commitment here. Just go to gotoassist.com and use, actually, if you go to gotoassist.com/Windows, you don't even have to use a coupon code. Just go to gotoassist.com/Windows and you'll have 30 days free. Give it a try. This is a good time if you've been stocking up on problems in your family or your workplace. Use the 30 days and get it fixed. Go to assist.com/Windows. Thank them. We thank them. And I hope you'll thank them for supporting Windows Weekly. Paul Thurrott, there is news about Office 2010. It was so funny. Was it last week or this week? Microsoft, big story. And I said, all it's going to be is that Office 2010's out. It's been out for a month.
I know.
But it kind of is this is the consumer release. This is you can buy it in stores now.
Yeah, and I think the most bewildering thing here is just the weird and crazy number of ways you can acquire this thing.
That's good.
It's so weird. There's a starter edition that you can get for free on a new PC, and it's these really stripped down versions of Word and Excel only. And then from within the product, you can actually upgrade electronically to better versions. You could also walk into a Best Buy or wherever, maybe a supermarket soon, and buy this product key card that would upgrade that built-in version to a. Yeah, I mean, it's really strange. It's like when you buy like an iTunes gift card or one of those Xbox Live point cards or whatever. Same kind of thing.
Give me an Office gift card.
Yeah, exactly. Merry Christmas is your Office gift card.
Office.
Obviously, they have the Office web apps, which have also gone live in the past week, and all that stuff. I mean, it's like we were discussing earlier with the scheduling stuff with Microsoft. Office has been on the same kind of slow boat upgrade path, which makes a lot of sense for a product that's been around for a long time, has millions and millions of users, and is very popular, and that's fine. But as you move to the web, and you compete with Google Docs and so forth, I think you need to step it up. I'm a little concerned about the schedule here. I mean,
just things like do it more quickly.
Yeah. And I think, and I've had some conversations with Microsoft about this stuff lately. But what it boils down to is when you think about things like Office web apps, the new Hotmail, Windows Live Wave 4, whatever this stuff is. This stuff needs to be iterated, again and again and again. You need to do what Google does if you intend to compete with Google.
Right.
And if you're actually going to wait 18 months before you release the next version of whatever it is, I mean, it's too slow. So what they've done so far, I think is good. The Office 2010 stuff, the suites and the individual applications, fantastic. I mean, there's just no doubt about it. And if you're on Office 2003 still, complete no-brainer. Looking forward, I think they need to step it up in the cloud a little bit. I mean, I think there needs to be a coming together. I mean, and Microsoft's going to have to come to terms with giving away something that actually works. One of the things that's not available in Office web apps, and I'm not talking about major enterprise functionality here, is like spell checking, right? It will actually tell you that there's a
spell check.
No, well, it will tell you when there's a mistake, but it doesn't give you the option to maintain a dictionary and use that dictionary to make a correction. You can't do that on the web. I mean, this is a word processor. Are you kidding me? Stuff like that.
And you got to remember that the competition has operating system level word check throughout the entire program.
Yeah. So I think that whatever that starter thing is that's on the PC, new PCs, the web should that and the web version should be the same thing.
Yeah.
It should be basic functionality, yes, but complete basic functionality. You can't just arbitrarily strip out little features that actually make sense to force people to buy a product. I listen. The Office Home and Student version is cheap enough. It's okay, but there has to be something below that's free that actually works. And I think they need to get. I think that's someplace they still need to get. And I hope to see that happen. But as far as Office itself goes, the actual PC app, I mean, that stuff is all positive. It's fantastic.
Worth upgrading if you're a 2007 user, you think?
Depends. That's a tough one. They've made it more consistent. The ribbon UI is across all the applications and so forth.
If you're a big Outlook user, I would say probably.
Outlook, you have to do it. Yeah.
Worth it for
Outlook is a huge update. The other stuff, the core apps, not so much. Word, Excel, unless you're a power user. PowerPoint actually is a decent update, more so maybe than the other core apps. It depends on what you're using, I would say. Word, Excel, not so much.
We were talking last week about Mesh and Sync and, the move to Sync or move.
Yep.
And I was wondering why I use Dropbox. Why not just use Dropbox for that?
Yeah. Well, so I wanted to talk to you about this. I thought maybe that you did.
Yeah, we're huge Dropbox users. Now, remember, we're cross-platform.
Right. No, and yeah, sure. Live Sync is cross-platform.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, you can use that on the Mac. The thing I don't like about Dropbox, and this is what I wanted to ask you about because maybe I just don't have an understanding of this, is that Dropbox provides you with a single kind of dumping point for all this stuff.
Right.
When I look at my computer and the way it's set up. I have a documents folder, I have a pictures folder, a music folder, a videos folder, etc. I like my documents to be in documents. I like my pictures to be in pictures, and that's where I like that stuff to be. With Live Mesh and with Live Sync now, I can have folders within those things. I could use those exact folders, I suppose. And that stuff gets synced on a folder-by-folder basis. But it seems like with Dropbox, what you have is this one thing, and that the stuff you want to share or synchronize needs to be inside of that one directory structure. And I'm not willing yet, at least, to do that. I mean, I want my stuff to be where it is. I don't want to have to move it around. And it seems like with Dropbox, you have to use Dropbox. So it creates
You do, and that's a big negative. There's another negative, which is that every machine that you have a Dropbox account on duplicates the Dropbox. If you have a 50-gig Dropbox, that's 50 gigs on your every machine.
Right. So I think per folder sharing makes a lot more sense.
I'm sure they'll have that in the future. I'm sure
I hope so.
Will.
So when you look at Dropbox and Live Sync right now, the free version of those services are very similar from a folder or from a synchronization capability, other than the fact that with Dropbox you can't do certain, different folders. But Live Sync also,
and for free you only get 2 gigabytes. You get 25.
No, not through Sync.
Oh, not through Sync. You get 2. Okay.
Right. You get 25 in SkyDrive, yes. But there's no interaction there. So, I mean, there's no benefit to using Sync versus Dropbox if you're looking for the 25 gigs of storage, because you could get that with SkyDrive, even if you're using Dropbox. I mean, what's the difference? The hope is obviously that the stuff gets integrated better. But, Live Sync has other things like the remote access piece, which I think is nice. But that per folder sharing is huge. I work a certain way, and I realize not everyone does the same thing, but I have folder structures beneath my documents folder that are related to the articles I'm working on right now. Documents I access on a frequent basis, like the document I send you every week in my news file and so forth. Under my pictures folder, I have a favorites pictures folder structure from all the trips and the events and
and you don't want to restructure. I mean, you could just move your entire documents folder to Dropbox. But no, I agree with you. I think that's a failing.
It's a limitation. So I've gotten a lot of email from people, although I have to wonder if the people I'm discussing this with don't represent some vast minority in this world, because they have very specific needs around sync. They want cloud access. I mean, I don't think the real world really is concerned with all this stuff, but Dropbox, to me, I do like the fact that it's available on things like the iPhone, which I use. That would be neat.
That's handy. Yeah.
There is no live, sync or live mesh access on an iPhone. Although I don't necessarily know how often I would need a lot of that stuff. But I mean, anywhere, anytime access is sort of the goal. My own needs right now, I think the live sync stuff, despite the limitations they've implemented since the move from live mesh, still make more sense for me personally. Now, there are other things around backup we have to sort of figure out, whether you go with something like Carbonite or one of the other services that are like Carbonite. Microsoft doesn't offer that.
They don't.
Notion of backup. No.
I thought they did.
No.
I thought that was SkyDrive would do that.
No, I mean, there's no automated way to do it. I mean, you could try to fake out this, some backup program to, map a drive to your SkyDrive and then back up to that thing. I mean, it would be awfully slow. Microsoft, from what I can tell, is not interested in getting into online backup. So that's a case where, the Carbonites of the world still make a lot of sense, I think. And I think will, for some time forward. I had kind of hoped,
because they're a sponsor.
Yeah. Well, it's good stuff, too. I mean, there are others. I mean, I think it's worth mentioning. I mean, there are other companies doing
Mozy, there's Ubuntu even has something, Ubuntu One.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's I use Jungle Disk if I have a more complicated setup. Jungle Disk is great.
Yep. Yeah. So I had really hoped this time around we would get some single cohesive thing, from Microsoft that would do it all, and I just don't see that happening. But PC to PC sync is huge for me. It works very well, and I do use it all the time. And my experience using Live Mesh in beta, Live Sync in beta for the past several weeks now has been just identical to what it was in Live Mesh. So I'm definitely going to continue using that, but now I need to really step it up when it comes to online backup and think about that, because I want something that is seamless and works and has a lot of storage and won't bankrupt me. So I don't know where I'm going to go for that yet, but I'm looking around. So
We only have about 10 minutes. I want to move fairly quickly, but you mentioned the iPhone. Did you order the new one?
I have, what do you call it? I have one waiting for me at the Apple Store.
Pre-order. You were able to get through?
Yeah.
I couldn't get through on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And then when I got through on Wednesday, they said you can have it, but not till July.
Suffice to say, there was much cursing in the Thurrott household. I'm not surprised to discover that people had problems. I certainly did.
So
yeah,
you were able to get through, but you just kept going.
I had better luck with the reserving a phone.
Yeah, I should have done that.
Stuff.
Stupid.
I have to tell you, I think I typed in my social, the last 4 numbers of my social.
Several
my phone,
times, yes.
And my zip several times? More like 100 times.
A few thousand times.
Yep.
So you were determined. You did
not. It
not
would fly off. Oh, I listen, I did things like, well, maybe this will work better on a Mac.
Wow.
You know,
I don't
Apple.
think I don't know. Yeah, Apple. Who knows? Right.
I tried it on the iPhone, on that app, the Apple Store app.
Oh, yeah, right.
I tried it all kinds of different ways. Wow. We'll see. I just like standing in line.
Well, I might have to do it because I don't have a phone right now. Abby lost my iPhone. My Nexus 1 died, by the way.
It was this Thursday. I wish it had happened today, but yeah, we'll get there as quickly as we can, I guess.
Yeah. Windows Phone 7.
We'll skip over that.
We'll skip over that. All right. Yeah, we've talked a lot about that. Let's get right to our feature of the week and for Windows 7, our tip of the week. And we don't have an Audible ad, believe it or not.
Thanks.
So I'll let you do an Audible pick just because I love you, Paul.
Okay.
But really, we wanted to talk about Carbonite. Since you brought it up, I think it's a good time to talk about it right now. Carbonite.com. This is a backup solution. Windows and Mac. It makes it very easy to back up. And I'll tell you how I'm using it. Abby's going to college with a laptop. You cannot assume that somebody's going to back up. I mean, Abby grew up, in my household, so I always took care of everything. It's always been backed up and everything. Never lost any data. But she's not going to think about that. So I put Carbonite on the laptop. Now, whenever she's online, even if the campus coffee shop or whatever, 128-bit SSL encryption, so she's secure. She can even password protect it using a state-of-the-art cryptography, and it just backs up. So all her data is automatically backed up. She can get it back from any computer, anytime, even an iPhone app. It's just easy, and it's less than $5 a month for me. $55 a year for that kind of peace of mind is well worth it. I want you to try Carbonite. You can do it for free right now by going to Carbonite.com/Windows Weekly. And since you're Windows users, you'll like the fact that Carbonite preserves versions of your files as well as the last version. So you can even go back if you made a mistake in an edit or whatever and you didn't save the previous version, you can go back. Carbonite did. It's pretty cool stuff. Recover lost files, restore previous versions, transfer files from one computer to the other. Carbonite.com. Try it free for 15 days right now. You don't even need a credit card. If you go to Carbonite.com and use the coupon code Windows Weekly, if you decide to buy 2 months free with the offer code Windows Weekly. If you've got a kid going off to college or just, somebody in your family just doesn't remember to back up, or maybe you're one of those people, Carbonite's for you. Carbonite.com. Use the offer code Windows Weekly so Paul gets credit. And now,
could you just bring up that Carbonite graphic again?
Yeah, it's a little big.
What's up with the little pinhead thing there? What is that? There's like a guy with arms.
I know. It looks like he's got a pinhead. His head is bowed. I know. It's not a good graphic.
Oh, I see. His hands are on his head.
His hands are on his head. I know. It looks like he has no head. It looks like he's...
It looks like he was a shrunken head victim or something.
No, that's not it. It's his head is bowed because see, you don't want to be that guy. That's the guy who lost all his data.
This is the crash position.
He's like, put your head between your legs and kiss your butt goodbye. Right there. That's what he's doing.
Gotcha.
Got it?
Okay.
All right. I know. I'm glad you brought that up because it is. I never, I always knew what it was, so it didn't. But then somebody said that, and I thought, what? Oh, you're right.
It is odd looking. Okay.
Windows 7 feature of the week. Paul's doing this because we talked a lot about Windows 7 before it came out, but maybe a lot of you now have Windows 7, and there's stuff in there that's just not obvious.
Yeah, and there's a lot of new features and so forth.
Yeah.
This one, what I've been doing is collecting these into little articles. So every week I post one, and this week this is like a multi-feature in a way because it's a list of some of the new hardware-related improvements that are in Windows 7. So Friday, or actually based on the schedule, probably more like Saturday, I'll have an article up about some of these things. Device stage, which is a new and underutilized interface for hardware devices and for PCs that, along with devices and printers, sort of replaces the old device manager interface. The idea here being that if you have a hardware device in the past, you'd have to install some sort of third-party software to expose all of the features of that device. But if the device supports device stage, which is a native Windows 7 feature, it can expose that functionality via a common interface, which is both beautiful and full-featured. So for things like, printers, for example, the device stage interface could say, hey, you're running out of ink. Do you want to order it from Dell or whoever your printer supplier is? Along with, big pictures of the actual device, so you have an understanding of what's going on and so forth. Unfortunately, for device stage, it's just something that doesn't get used a lot yet, and I'm hoping that changes in the future. But Lenovo actually does device stage interfaces for most of their new laptops, which I think is really cool.
So what does it look like? I'm not sure I quite understand.
What it basically is a big control panel, and it provides different tabs for the different. It depends on the device.
So I have it. Everybody has it.
Yeah, it's built into Windows 7, but you won't see it unless you plug in a device that's compatible. So, for example, a lot of the non-Zune or non-iPod MP3 players throw up a device stage interface.
Got it.
It provides you, click here to copy information to the device. Click here to run Windows Media Player and sync media. Click here, it's just a nice interface for compatible devices. If you have a PC that supports it for the whole PC, it's a way to access each of the components inside of the laptop or the desktop computer from a single interface in a way that's graphical and actually makes sense. It's a very attractive interface. You'll see it for printers, multifunction printers that have, scanners and, printing capabilities, obviously, and fax and so forth. These things can be kind of complicated. And in the past, the hardware maker would have to come up with this native or unique software for each one of these products. But now you can have a single interface that does it for, regardless of the hardware maker and so forth, but customized to the specific features of the hardware. So it's a nice interface, but it's one of those things that, again, you probably don't have a device that uses this, so you might not have noticed it. But if you do have a device that uses it, that's what pops up automatically when you plug it in. It's kind of a nice interface.
That's cool.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, it's funny, when you talk about the hardware stuff, there's a lot of stuff in there that people just aren't aware of. Like the location-aware printing is a capability in Windows. So for those people that, say move a laptop between work and home, you can auto-detect which network you're on and then make the correct printer the default printer. Because otherwise, in the old days or before Windows 7, you would set up a default printer. And if you were at a location where that default printer wasn't there, you would have to manually go select the correct printer to make sure it printed correctly. Otherwise, it would go into some print queue and you'd be wondering why nothing was printing. Right. You've all done that. So
right. It's an imaginary printing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then, 2 days later you go to work and suddenly your printer kicks in and you think it's haunted and it's printing this thing you tried to print.
Oh, just what I wanted. My airplane tickets from last week. Great.
Yeah. The sensor platform, which is something no one understands, is a way for Windows 7 to interact with, location-based devices, GPSs and things that could detect where you are, and then integrate that with software solutions. So, for example, my Windows 7 co-author, Rafael Rivera, wrote a sensor platform that utilizes the Google location services that they have and integrates it into Windows 7. So it will say, this is exactly where you are. And then if you have software has the smarts to use that, it can provide you with services based on your location, like Bing or Google.
That's cool.
Search. Yeah. Better power management, integration with Windows troubleshooting and forward, and so forth. I don't want to waste too much time because I know we're running out of time, but sometime this weekend I'll have an article up that kind of summarizes all of the different hardware improvements in Windows 7. We'll kind of lump them into a single feature, I guess, even though it's really a lot of different features.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very neat. Windows 7 tip of the week.
Tip of the week. So I would have to say,
he's thinking
of all the tips we've done.
Yes,
I think the most popular one so far, based on feedback, has been this Technet subscription.
That is a great yes.
Because I think for power users who have a lot of computers at home, they do a lot of testing. They want to see how things work. You want to do things like dual boot a PC between different versions of Windows 7. But who wants to go out and buy retail copies of Windows 7 for this? Technet is a very cheap way. If you have multiple PC needs, to get access to all this software. Well, this past week, I've gotten so much email about this. It's unbelievable how many people have written me. But Microsoft has expanded the Technet subscription to include a new standard subscription. And this one is actually even cheaper than the Pro subscription, which we've been talking about. So, for example, Technet Pro, actually, I think it's Technet Plus. Technet Plus, I wrote Pro, but I believe it's Technet Plus, is typically about $350, although there are big discounts. And in our previous tip, when I put it on the web, I included one of those promotional codes where you can get a significant chunk of change off of that and save a lot of money. But typically, it's about $350. The new standard subscription is only $199. So the difference between the two, I don't have yet a list of the exact software that's missing, but the difference between the two is that the standard subscription supplies you with what Microsoft calls the entire stack of desktop software that they provide, but it doesn't include some enterprise editions of Microsoft software. So I would imagine, and I don't know, but I would guess that maybe what that means is it includes all of the versions of Windows 7, but not the enterprise version, for example. Maybe that's only in the Plus subscription, or it might not include some of the server software. I know it doesn't include the dynamic software, for example. So if what you're looking for is Windows and Office, and you want it on multiple PCs,
how many? 10?
Yeah, 10. This is something to look at.
Are there limitations to what kind of use? I mean, is it non-commercial use?
It's
only?
non-commercial use. So this would be home use.
Home use is okay.
Yeah. No.
So if you have 5 computers in your home, it'd be much cheaper to buy this than to buy 5 copies of Windows 7, and you get Ultimate, right?
It's not even close. Yeah.
Not even close.
Not even close. Yep.
They know people do this.
Oh, by the way, not only do they know people do this, and this is the thing.
Don't mind.
Some people have written me and said, "Well, Paul, come on, clearly they don't intend for this to be used." Actually, they very clearly do intend for it to be used this way. And I would argue that the addition of the standard subscription proves that, because they're making it even cheaper now for people at home to use the stuff that is designed for at home. I mean, I think they very clearly know what they're doing here.
That's very interesting.
This is really designed for people who work with computers as a living, for professional.
Yeah, because most people don't have 5 PCs in the house.
Right, but maybe they do, and this is a way for them to cheaply test things at home because they're enthusiasts. Right. They're not. The reason they're in their job is because they love computers and they want to test the stuff and understand what's going on. And this is a way to get in touch with some software that maybe would just be impossible otherwise. And you can learn how Microsoft, take a look at SharePoint or take a look at Windows Server, because you would never go into a store and buy this software.
Right.
It's not going to happen, but this makes it possible and it makes it achievable. And I think it's a cool offering. So I guess my only question is I would like to see a better list or a complete list.
What you get.
And I'm going to try to find out what that is. And if I can, I'll get that into the article version of this tip.
We're going to skip the Audible pick of the week. We'll save that for next week. You get a freebie, free pass. Yep. And let's get to our software pick of the week so we can wrap this up. Okay. Dr. Kiki is just around the corner.
Yep. Okay. I apologize for keeping her waiting.
No. It's our fault. We started late today.
I have 2 software picks. One is Metro TWiT.
I don't like the name. I got to tell you.
Yep. Oh, right.
Because TWiT we own is our name. It's trademark.
Well, actually, the guy who was working on this is staying with me this week, so I'll
beat him up. They should call it Tweet, not Twit. Even Twitter doesn't want him to call it Twit.
Interesting. Okay, I will mention this to him. But the thing that's cool about this is it's a Twitter client.
Yes.
It
really?
looks and works a lot like the Zune software, which is beautiful, and it is gorgeous. And it also resembles the Metro stuff because, these things have kind of a common...
Oh, I get it. Metro TWiT. I get it.
Yes. So it uses all the .NET 4 Windows Presentation Foundation stuff. It's a beautiful, beautiful multi-column Twitter client. Sorry.
You see the problem here? You see the problem here?
Listen, I am agreeing with you.
And you know what? There's nothing I can do about it. It's fine. We're gonna.
No, there is something you can do about it because, like I said,
you know this guy.
Guy's sleeping in my house this week.
Okay, I would say make him sleep on the floor until he changes it.
I can make this happen.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is good software. You should check it out. MetroTwit.com.
Actually, looks really good. It does look really neat.
It's beautiful. The other thing is just some software updates I think everyone needs to be aware of. Apple released iTunes 9.2. If you're going to be getting an iPhone 4 next week, you want to upgrade early. And then more important, perhaps, Adobe shipped this week Flash Player 10.1. This is that version that fixes all the problems that Flash has been having, at least for now. And this is an update I think you need to install as quickly as possible. If you have Flash on your system, you may have seen an auto update window appear. They're starting to do that for all of this software. I've seen it for Acrobat. I've seen it for Reader, and now I've seen it for Flash. Definitely be sure to get the Flash player 10.1 if you are running Flash on your computer.
Hey, somebody in the chat room just sent me a link to a Lifehacker article that says you can use a symbolic link to tell Dropbox to copy stuff outside of its folder.
Geez, see, but this is what I'm talking about.
That's too much work. I know.
That's nice. I mean, but
you have to use a sysinternals program like Junction or.
Okay, that's
it's too much work. I agree with you. And there's no reason why they couldn't include that in Dropbox. They really ought to.
You have to think it's coming.
You have to.
You have to. Yeah.
Paul Thurrott, you're the best. Paul Thurrott is the editor-in-chief of the SuperSite for Windows. You go on there to winsupersite.com and you'll get more detail about all of the things we just talked about. And every day, new updates. He's obsessive about his coverage.
I am obsessive.
He is. This is his thing.
Obsessive and compulsive. Yeah.
But what we like about him is he's got good taste.
Wow.
If he says something good, it's good. If he says it's bad, it's bad. And that's what I'm looking for in a reviewer, somebody who shares my taste. You can read his books from Wiley & Sons. There's Windows 7 Secrets and the soon Windows Phone Secrets. And he's also a news editor at Windows IT Pro. But this podcast really is his bully pulpit.
The acme.
Epitome, the acme.
The apex.
The perihelion of Paul. The Paul's perihelion. Or is it aphelion? I can never remember.
It's one of those.
One of them helions.
It's the penultimate accomplishment of my career. No, wait.
No, that's wrong. That means tomorrow you're going to be done. You can watch us do it live.
I love penultimate being the most misused word, perhaps.
Absolutely. Right next to irregardless.
Yes.
Which isn't even a word.
Which is why it's beautiful.
You can watch us do this every Thursday. We do it right around 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Pacific, 1800 UTC. In fact, all of our live stuff is at live.twit.tv. You can watch it with almost any device. We do have streaming coming to the Roku, I am told, very soon.
Nice.
That's exciting. But, of course, you can also download existing shows in beautiful quality on your Roku box or on iTunes or at Zune Marketplace, anywhere better podcasts are aggregated. Or just go to twit.tv/WW. Paul Thurrott, have a great week. We'll see you next time.
You too.
Bye-bye.